Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free at AAA.com/commanders. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday, everybody. What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up? How you doing, Callow? You're done with night one of your 8 jobs. This is 8. You started 8 job time because for those who don't know, Callow produces the Capitals radio broadcast. And of course, last night was night 1.
Yeah, I had a stark reminder of it takes me like an hour and a half to fall asleep after I get home. So that was a nice reminder waking up this morning. So yeah, getting back in that routine of trying to calm yourself down a little bit because the broadcast, I always tell everyone this, oh, aren't you sad when they lose? I go, my broadcast stays the same kind of regardless. And I've gotten used to that because yesterday, by the way, was the beginning of season 10 for me. So I've gotten kind of used to it, but not used to it enough where I have to jump right back into it. So
what's the 10 years? What's the gift you get from Ted and Zach for that? Any gifts for that one?
I tried asking John Walton about that, and he didn't have an answer for me because it's not only 10 years for me, it's 10 years for our engineer, Tim Parker, who is the best in the business. So we both went in at the same time. So we've been kind of trying to shake John down. Like, what do we get? 10 years here. What do we get here?
Yeah,
so,
I got a special place in my heart for Tim. All right. Hopefully they do right by you. Get you guys some gifts. We'll see. Maybe they'll do it.
I will say this. When the Caps won the cup, I got a ring. I don't really need anything ever from this team. So that really is like, that's the dream. And I achieved that. So true. I really don't need anything.
Here's a box of Ovios. Enjoy them.
I already have. I've gone through 2 boxes of those, playa. I've already bought those. Those are a giant, man.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get back into the Caps a little bit. I did watch the one game I'll get to see this year. I did watch most of it last night. I'm really mourning the loss of Joe and Craig. I'm a YouTube TV person, and I'm pretty convinced we're not getting it back because they've taken a hard line on these regional networks. Like Masson is not on my screen. So I'm winging a prayer that they're going to figure something out with Monumental. But if they don't, I have the devil's choice. I have to pay them money to get their service or just not see it. And both of those suck to me. So anyway, I did see them last night. I did get to watch last night. But let me start with football, the Commanders. I did also watch the last Bears game 2 weeks ago against the Raiders. They won, blocked a field goal at the end. Geno Smith was god-awful. I mean, just god-awful. I mean, the Raiders could have run the ball for 300 yards against them. If Geno never threw the ball, they probably would have won by 2 touchdowns. Like, that's the Bears' offensive line and defensive line were shredded. I mean, shredded in this game. Geno really, to me, gave it away. It was all the turnovers, the block kick at the end. But I will say this, having watched Caleb a lot, especially early last year, because we got to play him around the same time of year, watching what happened afterwards, which was obviously an abject disaster for them. And, not surprisingly, had to change the coach, but they bring in this new coach. I haven't reviewed the Cowboys game yet that they played. Obviously, that was the best game of his career. So I'm interested to review and watch that. But I remember catching a lot of that on TV because it was after our game that day. It was one of the only 1:00 games we had. It was after. So I caught a lot of it. He is, and this is now reviewing this past one, he is light years ahead of where he was a year ago. It's funny because, I think people think about him and they see what Jaden has done and they think that because his record is bad and they're like, he's way, way, way behind. And I will talk about some of the flaws in his game in a minute and over the next few days. Obviously, I think he takes way too many chances with the ball. But if you actually look at some of his metrics, like touchdowns to interceptions and all that stuff, it's among the best ever at this point in a career. And he is just, light years ahead from where he was a year ago, which I'll say this when I was saying it last year. I say it again. I'm not just downplaying this. I actually want him to be good. He's one of us. He's from here. I want him to be really good. I actually really hope this turns into a major rivalry between these two teams because they're linked with the first pick and the second pick. I love that Jaden was just like, I don't care about that when he was asked about it yesterday. Like, don't hit me. Like, he's not going to fall into any narrative traps. He's like, I don't care. He was picked first. I was picked second. Who cares? Doesn't matter anymore. It's in the past. Hail Mary, it's in the past. His line was, doesn't help us win on Monday night. I don't care what happened last year. So he's very straightforward looking ahead. But for Caleb, he's the one that has to answer the question. Your record stinks. And the other guy's record doesn't stink. So we could sit there and talk about, style of play, statistics, which actually are better in Caleb's not defense. His resume on paper actually looks better than his record, but I will tell you, because I just watching the other day, yes, he's still holding the ball too long. Yes, he's extending some plays a little too long. Yes, he's kind of making some very dangerous decisions with the ball, and there are still these disaster plays that end up happening to him in the middle of games, which obviously that's going to have to clean up long-term if he's going to really be anything and they're going to win anything. But he's willing. This is my biggest question. Is he willing to play within the context of a structured offense? And I think you're seeing the makings of it. And I really now, after watching this a little bit, I think this is going to work out for him and Ben Johnson. It's just going to take a lot of time. And there's, I think, a lot, what you don't want to do is remove all the improvisational magic out of him. But at the same time, you can't go rogue every play. And so I think they're starting, as I watch them, to find a little bit of that balance.
I think to your first point too, I'm not rooting against Caleb either. My beef is always with Bears fans. It's not personal to the players by any means. So
yeah, they take it personal. They're like, we need to know our guys better. And it's like, actually, I have a feeling they're both going to be good. And I think that's good for both of us if they are, honestly.
Yeah. And what I would argue too, from what I've seen from Caleb as well, not off of Sunday, because obviously Drake May beat the Bills. So that's a really good win. But I thought Caleb actually looked better than Drake May, by a full level, through the first 5 weeks of the season. So I thought Caleb already was looking pretty damn good after week one. That week one was a little bit dicey. And then everything I saw from then on, he actually looked pretty solid. So I'm with you in that he does look way better. I think what he's also seeing here too is Caleb, at least, is seeing, okay, when I do play within the confines of the system, it's clearly working. So I'm going to continue and try to do some of that as well. I think there was a little bit of trust that was going on there with Caleb, because if you think about it, last year, why would he have trusted any coach last year the way that it went? It all just went sideways. What did he have? 3 offensive coordinators when it was all said and done? It was bad last year. So I'm not surprised it took literally a week or two for him to kind of go into the confines of the system. And I'm with you. When he actually does go off script now, it's a little bit more meaningful than normal. He looks pretty good. I'm with you. I think this does look pretty good. And I think what's also really good here is my worry was with Ben Johnson, is where you and I have talked about coaches a million times over the years, where you get some coaches that don't give their players any kind of bend and there's no give and take with them.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson actually gives him a little bit of give and take a little bit. And I think that's a good thing, because that's when things fall apart. So I'm with you. I actually think this is going to work out in the long run. They both look pretty good together.
Yes. I think, it's a little too soon to call it. This is going to work. He's still, listen, he's got the magic ability. But it's not, most of the magic plays aren't really working, he's just whizzing these things like bullets over people's heads, or he's making these. And his instincts, though, it's last year, his instincts led him astray. But I agree. I think he was not in a structured situation. And that's the worst thing you can possibly do for somebody who, at his core, wants to improvise constantly. And I think, I just saw the makings of, okay, they're getting on the same page. They're not there yet, but they're getting there. And I will point to also, and I'm going to make a big deal of this over the next few days, if you actually go look at the distribution of the ball at this point, it will tell you everything you need to know, that their offense is a long way away from becoming a finished product. They're a work in progress by far. DJ Moore has under 200 yards receiving this year. In that Raiders game, they never threw a pass to him down the field. Everything was underneath. He is averaging a career low yards per game at 43. That's absurd for someone who's as good as he is. Odunze is having a gangbusters year. Okay, he's the favored target. He's the one Ben's putting in position to make all these plays. Fine. Somebody has to do it, and they're both very good receivers. Luther Burden is a high draft pick. He's barely touched the ball. Barely touched the ball. Unfortunately for them, their first-round pick tight end has been hurt the last week or so, but his numbers are very low. They still have Cole Kmet. his numbers are extraordinarily low, and they're not running the ball very well. So it's not there yet. And so that's the part I would look to Ben and say, that ain't Caleb. You guys are trying to figure out what your identity is, what you guys actually are. They have an array of weapons. They are overflowing with explosive playmakers, but they haven't figured out how to use them right yet. So that part's on Ben building this thing. And Caleb needs to come back to, dude, take some of the layups, take some of the plays we're giving you here. And I'm seeing some of that. So I would just describe them as work in progress. And I don't know what's going to happen Monday night, but they're another one. I would much rather play them right now than I think later, because I think this is going to get better. And their defense right now, at least against the run, is a sieve. And considering like where we are as our identity as a run team, really now, I like that part of the matchup as I continue to kind of get ready for the game Monday night.
Yeah, to your first point too, it's funny. I think if you're, trying to criticize Ben Johnson, you could argue, hey, he doesn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and this incredible offensive line, and then Jared Goff. But you actually argue and you look at the Bears' weapons, and they're actually kind of on par with each other. They don't have either running back that's as good.
They don't have Gibbs.
Right.
They don't have Gibbs.
Right.
And Amon-Ra is a tactician, but like Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams, and I say Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, you could swap those out, and you're going to get this. You should get the same results with players like that.
Agree. And I don't want to downplay Jared Goff, but I think we know he's not the typical number one overall, top 5 pick quarterback at this point. You would think Caleb's going to be a little bit better. So you think overall the sum of the parts are actually the same. So I'm with you. They should actually be a little bit better. I know Detroit's got a really good setup over there, but same thing too. What was kind of the big thing about the Bears? Their offensive line. They went and signed and traded for some linemen this offseason, and they've been better this year too. So like the excuse isn't, they're better than last year is what I'm getting at, is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. But their excuse isn't built in there where like you have kind of the same personnel here as well.
Interestingly, their offensive line hasn't been great the last couple of weeks either. So that part is actually a bit of a surprise to me that that's happened, but we'll see. We'll see. I need to keep watching, but just off of what the limited amount, which is I reviewed the Raiders tape from last night, and then I only have seen the Cowboys game, and then I heard a lot about what happened to them against the Lions. I'm going to review a lot of it, but surprisingly, the offensive line I thought would be way, way, way better because they put a lot of money and assets into it. And that hasn't played out here early. Their run game is down. Caleb is still running for his life a little bit. So again, like last year really felt when we got ready for them, I'm like, this guy goes rogue and I don't know what he's going to do. It's why he has a bazillion sacks, and some of those sacks are disastrous 12-yard loss plays and all that type of stuff. And then he's just winging it down the field and he's just leaning on this kind of natural ability. And I'm seeing a very different player. So this is like, I wasn't sure this marriage was going to work out with him and Ben Johnson because he's so structured in what he does. But I do see the makings of it. And when I see whatever struggles they're having, I actually don't see Caleb as the source of it like I did a year ago. I think that's what I'm getting at. I don't see him as the source of it like I did a year ago. Their line isn't playing as well as I would have thought they would have. They're not running the ball that effectively, and Ben Johnson's offense has run the ball really, really, really effectively. And some of their key primary players like DJ Moore, he doesn't even have a role in this offense yet. So they're still figuring, and that's on Ben. So that's what they're kind of figuring out. From the Commanders' perspective, asked about the Hail Mary yesterday. I'm not surprised. And in fact, one of the questions was even, I apologize for bringing this up, and they were like, I might as well just say this to you. I'm asking you about this because we're all doing stories about it, because we're all reliving it in Chicago and Washington, because it's on Monday Night Football, because you put the black jerseys on again, guys, because you did that again. Like, we're going to have to talk about this. And Dan Quinn gave one half answer because he finally kind of clicked him. He's like, if I don't answer this, like, I'm going to get 58 questions about it. And then Jaden wanted nothing to do with it. The Bears are trying to avoid it, but they're the ones that have to answer the questions about losing in that game. They're trying very hard to not make this weekend about that. And I don't think it's about that, but it's a story. Welcome to the media cycles. It's on Monday Night Football. You put the black jerseys on. It's the first time you played since. A lot of things have changed specifically for them since that happened. It's a story. You're going to have to deal with it.
I would say I actually appreciated Dan Quinn's answer on it because he did acknowledge it both ways, saying, hey, it was a really big play last year, like one of the best chapters of last year. I appreciated
it was like the second or third question, though, where he finally realized if I don't answer this and I don't say something about it, that they're just going to keep hammering me. And it's just the reality of, look, I know we want to put this in the past, but nobody who's following or covering this game is going to do that. Next year when you play them, it may not get brought up again. But this year, we have to revisit it. You have no choice.
Yeah, and I appreciated his his candor during that, mainly because he then was asked, "Oh, have you talked to the team about it?" He was like, "Absolutely not." Like he completely flipped back to coaching mode, where I was like, "Good." I think that's where Quinn gets me so much better than Ron did with the nuances of some of these questions. Like, yes, you can actually go down memory lane and not just not answer this. But then when you go back to being a coach, then you can flip back into coach mode. So the nuance there of that question, I really appreciate it. And then there was Jaden. I was just like, translation was just like, F off, man. I don't even want to talk about this. Like you could tell he just wanted to be like, don't ask me that question. And he basically said it was last year. So
we talked about this the other day, and I want to point it out in these moments too. He is growing into the leadership role before our eyes. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really like to do a lot of talking. Like that's number one. So like he's like Belichick, really.
Yeah, he is.
He doesn't want anything to do with any of this stuff. You can see, like, he gets these questions. You can see the wheels turning about how he's going to basically dismissively answer all of these questions as much as possible. And then every once in a while, he'll get asked something and he'll give a bit of an answer about it. But he's very Belichickian about the whole thing. Like, doesn't really want to do it. The other day at the game, he was barking at people in the middle of the game. He yelled at somebody about, it was a delay of game. I think they didn't snap the ball fast enough. He was on the sideline. He was kind of up in people's faces. Cliff Kingsbury had said a couple of weeks ago, hey, man, this is your show now. It's time for you to take over here. And he's really embracing that. So we're seeing all of that from him. And on this particular topic, he's like, it was a great moment a long time ago that has nothing to do with anything that's going to happen on Monday night. Bye.
There are two things he likes to talk about. Whatever it is off the field, like when he was getting asked Kobe questions, stuff like that, and his teammates. That's it. That is the list. That is the only thing he really likes talking about. Like yesterday, it pivoted real quick to asking him about Luke McCaffrey and Debo and some of his teammates, and he'll talk about them. Yes. He wants nothing to do with talking about himself, the past, whatever. And we joked about it last year. You could take his press conferences from the first month of the season and play them in the last month of the season. And if you take away the team references, it was the same exact press conference. I think this year he says even less than he did last year. He does not want to say anything anymore. And he is full Marshawn Lynch. I'm here so I don't get fined. That is exactly what he does now, pretty much.
That is the vibe for sure. That is the vibe. And it's not like he opens up to other people. He doesn't do it with anyone else either.
Right.
We get like, after the game, he's contractually obligated to come on the broadcast with us. So he comes on with us, but he's actually way more open with us because we're just talking about the game. He's happy to talk about that. Like good plays, bad plays, whatever. He's happy to talk about all that stuff. But and he'll put a big smile on his face and he's happy. Like there's no reluctance, which I appreciate. He's like, he walks right over, he daps us up, he's ready to talk. He like win or loss. And he does not mind talking about the game. He likes doing that. But all this leading up to stuff, he wants nothing to do with it. He does not care about your pre-production meeting. He does not care about your content needs. He does not care about your narratives. He wants nothing to do with any of it, which is actually, it's a good quality, honestly, because this guy is not going to put his foot in his mouth because he refuses to answer your questions.
Gone are the days of Clinton Portis dressing up on Thursdays. And,
that's not happening.
No Coach Janky Spanky for Jaden Daniels.
No reason to go, guys.
Oh, that's you.
No reason to do it.
Yeah.
We played it yesterday, so I'm not going to really make much of this, but there's a secondary story from ESPN about Tyreek Stevenson today from Courtney Cronin, who does a great job covering the Bears. And he basically admitted, I'm still trying to live this moment down. Obviously, he's the one who was jumping up and down and jawing with the crowd before the Hail Mary was thrown. And then, whoops, you weren't there to help really make the play that needed to be made to make sure it didn't happen. We played yesterday. If you missed the show yesterday, we played a 3-minute clip where he talked openly and expansively about what that meant to him. I had yet to hear him really talk about it. And it was on his teammate Kevin Byard's show, his podcast. And I actually had a lot of empathy for him after hearing it, because he just seemed to totally get that he totally blew it. And he has to live with it, and there's no getting rid of it. And it's on tape forever. It's a Hail Mary. It's a Hail Mary in the first game between Caleb and Jaden Daniels. It is a highlight. It's going to be shown forever, right? And it's always going to be part of it. It's not just some game, it's not some game when both teams have losing records, aren't going to make the playoffs, and a weird thing happened and no one ever talks about it again. It's chapter 1 of what we think is going to be a lot of them between these two teams, and he's still living it down. So, I appreciate that he probably hasn't. This is one where he has no choice. He has to address this. And I think he's actually done a very good job addressing it from what I've heard and seen.
Yeah, the second clip I saw was him from the locker room yesterday, where he kind of went down the road of that highlight's going to follow me forever. Like, I'm going to have to explain that to my son and what happened. But he kind of did the same thing that he did on Byard's pod, where he was like, it's going to be a teaching moment, right? Where, it was the worst play, worst play ever, but it ends up going to, going to be shown, and I get to show my son of, say, this is why you don't, get distracted or mess around, whatever. I think, once again, America loves a comeback story. That's a really good kind of hey, you know what? I screwed up, but I'm going to try to make the best of this situation. I'm not going to knock him for the way that he's handling this, because
I agree.
Is there really a wrong way to handle doing that? Essentially, he shouldn't have made the play the way that he did. And you know what? At the end of the day, he's at least trying to take the high road on it. I don't really fault him at this point anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. Real quick, other NFL thing that's going on that I didn't get to yesterday that I really wanted to get to yesterday. Flacco got traded to the Bengals, Han. So he's now played for the Browns, Ravens, and now will be Bengals. Please God, sign with the Steelers next year.
I know,
so he can play for the whole division. I mean, that's something. Would anybody have ever done that before? That can't have ever been done. Where a quarterback played for all 4 teams in the same division. That can't. And oh, by the way, they'll need a quarterback again next year. So please God, be there next year, at least as a backup. That would be amazing.
Yeah, none come to my head right away. I know Huntley has been signed from Baltimore to Cleveland, but he's gone back to Baltimore now. I don't think
Josh Johnson has played for 14 teams.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know if it would be all 4 of any one division. I don't know.
It would all have to be a backup, especially with the Steelers, right? I mean, the Steelers have gone through quarterbacks in recent years, but they were known for having guys, just stand in there like Big Ben for years and years and years. So yeah, what I actually don't understand about this is they traded Flacco in a 6th rounder to the Bengals. Bengals gave up a 5th rounder. Are we saying a 5th rounder got you Flacco and a little bit more couldn't have gotten you the likes of Kirk, of Geno, of I don't know.
If you believe the reporting, the Falcons have never gotten off of they want a premium pick. So if that's true, then no, it couldn't have gotten you Kirk.
But I'm still gonna roll here. Russ or Jameis from the Giants. I don't know. I was kind of 5th round pick seems like you're overpaying for Flacco a little bit, just of what the market looks like. Yeah. I guess they just want to be professional. And here's what you and I talk about the Bengals all the time. He might have had the cheapest contract out of all of them. They might have just gone that route too. So that's probably what it was. But there's
nobody's going to want Kirk and 30-something million in the middle of the season. 100%. That's just absurd.
That's the one where I'm okay, if you don't want to pay that, you don't want to be stuck with that dead cap money when you cut them. Fine. I totally get that. But you couldn't call the Giants up for either Russ or Jameis. That was the one where I was kind of scratching my head, but I think it screams money at this point.
Yeah. Jameis, I'm shocked, is still on the Giants. What do you?
I mean, I know they like him, but he's an asset at this point.
And
so
yeah, what are you waiting for? Yeah,
Jameis too. I think is the perfect kind of quarterback that if you are one of these teams that just need somebody, he's going to chuck it down the field at least. You're going to give yourself a chance to win. And I just thought with the Bengals, You can't get that guy to just chuck it to Brown and Higgins. Like, I mean, what are we doing there? Or Chase and Higgins, I mean. So yeah, that's where I was kind of just landing. Yeah. I don't think it would have cost you that much more.
And then the Bengals announced he's going to start. So he's been there one day.
Yeah.
He's going to start this weekend.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. The Browns are moving people around pretty fast here. They also did another trade, swapping corners. Greg Newsome, who I knew he was going to get moved because they were never going to sign him because they signed Denzel Ward. Like, he was one of those that I was watching for us when we were kind of looking around, looking for a corner, wasn't really sure. Once they brought in Lattimore, traded for Amos, and have Sammer still, like, he's kind of off the board. They're going to pay somebody like that. So he was kind of off at least my radar, but like, I'm not surprised he got moved. The Jaguars is off to a great start, move off of a big contract. They just signed this guy that they traded to like some $70-something million contract. So he must not be performing, even though their defense is a turnover machine. And so they make that move. So that's an interesting one for both of them. The Browns, who aren't going to pay Newsome, trade him to a better team who's got a chance to win. And the Jags, who are winning, trade a high money deal off of their roster immediately. That's a very intriguing thing for both of those teams to do.
I mean, this is exactly how the NFL wants this trade deadline thing to be now. Like, you can actually make some moves now, make, moves for the future if you need to as well. And look, when it comes to this with the Browns too, like, you might as well keep collecting lottery tickets. If a guy isn't working with one team, see if he works with you. And that's just not quarterbacks. That's every position for them. Acquire talent, see if it works out. And if not, you're cutting them anyways. You're trying to tank for a quarterback again anyways at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, the longer I'm around it, the more I see, like, some of these guys, like, we played Dante Jackson when he was with the Steelers. We played him when he was with Carolina. He was a liability for them at times. He was people I circled and when I think we're going to go after this guy. And then he went to the Chargers this year, and he was actually the one in coverage, I believe, when Luke McCaffrey made the catch. I think he was in coverage when that happened. He actually came in through 4 weeks with the best lowest passer rating between quarterbacks and receivers against any corner through 4 weeks was him this year. And he doesn't look like a liability. So you just kind of never know. People go to certain places and it just kind of fits and works for them. And, that's why this talent, oftentimes, a lot of teams will just take shots on talent that failed in other places because they go, if it works out for us, it's a cheap win to get guys who know how to play. So we'll see what happens for both of those teams. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram watch the show. ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, unforgettable experiences as well. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. I read a piece from one of my favorite NFL writers, Bill Barnwell, who is making the case that in the early stages of the season, that this particular running back class may end up being one of the most special running back classes that we've seen in a very long time. And part of that is because the last running back who was selected in this class happens to be Bill. And Bill has a couple of metrics that are extremely, extremely unusual. He also made a point about him that I'll get to in a moment. But overall, Ashton Genty had his first big game last week against the Bears. I said this when we played them and him. I went, he isn't comfortable in the NFL game yet. He will be. He's going to be good. He's too good of a talent not to be good. But we caught him at the right time. He's not ready to be Saquon yet. And eventually he probably will become a really, really, really talented running back. And maybe his first breakout moment was a week ago. We've played Hampton. Hampton is a very, very good established, just got hurt, but very good established, true in between the tackles and around the edge running back. Not sure he's going to end up being a great receiving running back, but we'll see. But he looks like he's going to be a very, very, very good player. Quinshad Judkins, it's the Browns, is killing it. Like, absolutely killing it. The Patriots haven't really unleashed Henderson yet, so we don't really know what he's going to be yet. Then there's a couple of other primary ones that Barnwell pointed out. And then, of course, there's Bill, who actually has better stats than almost all of them to this point. And that's also in a running back by committee. It's not like they've been giving him 20 carries a game and he's been kind of killing it out there. So I think Barnwell is onto something here. He likened it to 2017 when he said McCaffrey ended up being a verifiable star, but he listed off all these other running backs, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, all these others that ended up being really good running backs. And he thinks this class might be that.
Well, when it comes to Bill, too, I was kind of saying to you on Monday, once we start getting this is the first or only 7th round running back to do X, Y, and Z, you're already kind of getting on to something special. I would say this, too. I think the most mind-blowing thing with Bill that you keep looking at is he has like half as many carries as some of these bell cow running backs. Like one of the best troll jobs I've seen has been from Commanders fans. They're putting Saquon stats next to Bill's stats, and Bill has more yards with like half the carries, and his average is double. So, yeah, I mean, even the last running back selected is having an all-time, first 5 weeks of the season, essentially, at this point.
Let's see. Here are the two metrics for Krosky Merritt that are really outrageous. Yards per carry, 6.6.
Yeah.
Leads the NFL. Okay, leads the NFL. 4.7 yards per carry after contact leads the NFL. That's the one. 4.7 after contact. That's Derrick Henry. That's Saquon Barkley, right?
Right.
That's not a 7th round pick rookie. So he's off to an incredible start. In terms of it breaking out, like I think we can all agree the genie's not going back in the bottle, and it's not like he's going to share the same amount of carries with Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols. Like that's not happening anymore. But will they continue by committee? Yeah, and here's why. And this is what Barnwell pointed out, and it is true. He's trying to build trust on 3rd down with the team. Barnwell went granular and saw that he's only on the field for actually a select amount of 3rd down plays that aren't like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. Like they're not exactly trust maybe isn't the right word. They like, I think, McNichols in pass protection more than anything. And in the occasional catch out of the backfield where he turned one into a 1st down, he's not there yet in pass protection. And because of that, you might not see the gangbuster breakout numbers. They haven't thrown the ball out to him yet. I think they trust McNichols in 3rd down pass protection more. And because his snap share on the down and distance is still very low, that the breakout will be based on him getting better and they gets more trusted in those spots. So that's probably why you're not going to see him make 8 catches a game or have 15 to 20 carries, because he's not on the field enough to do that.
I'll just make the argument here too. Like my whole thing with him was they're going to ease him into this full-time role anyways. This is exactly kind of what that looks like, right? You're not going to have him on the field every single down. And I think that's okay for right now. I get it. And he's a weapon, but he's already such a big weapon that you don't need to force this along either. So I know people want to see more from him. I know they want him to be the bell cow. I'm okay with this. He's a rookie. You ease him into things like this. And as you pointed out too, Ashton Genty, it took him a month to get going as well. Like I would say, take your time with this. He'll get to it eventually. But right now, the early signs look really, really good.
Yes. Genty, when we got ready to play him, looked like he was a little lost at what he was supposed to do. He was running the wrong way. He was blowing up plays by not knowing his assignments. And there was also something about he didn't like his running style. He wanted to go back to this kind of stance that he was in that they were trying to break him out of. And he's going to be fine. And he's going to get good. He had a couple really nice moments against us, and then he had a breakout against the Bears. And I'm still trying to figure out, is that the Bears rush defense or is that him breaking out? And it might be a combination of both, but he'll get there. Anyway, all right, let me get to what is, I think, going to be the story and everyone's going to be watching for the next few weeks. Bill Belichick is struggling. I could care less about the Tar Heels struggling. I want to kiss you. So that's Bill Belichick. They're saying that all the reporting about him trying to get out of there as fast as possible with a soft landing for a job either in media or coaching, he'll take a small buyout to leave. They're saying that's not true because they put out statements today. I think we all know that it is. Like, there's no chance that it's not. it's not that he's just losing. They are getting embarrassed. And I read a piece, because it was linked from some awful announcing piece, of somebody down in North Carolina who did a deep dive and has all sorts of sourcing about how the locker room is really messed up. The transfers are treated different than the carryover players. They rescinded some money. Everyone thinks it's weird that they won't let the Patriots scouts in. Apparently last week when Drake May had a good game, they said you can't tweet anything about it because we don't want to pump up. And they're like, yeah, but he's our quarterback. And they're like, no, you can't do it because it's the Patriots. I read there were a couple sourcing things saying the parents have had zero communication with him throughout the whole process. Not shockingly, because of his reputation, Mike Lombardi, who's the quote GM of it, is someone who is just despised across the board by many, many, many people involved with all of it. This is an abject disaster. And I think Belichick, I believe it, there's no chance he wants to come back for another year of it. And considering what's being written and what's happening on the field, I have a hard time buying that outside of a ton of money, which I bet this program still doesn't have, even with him there, that anybody wants to go there unless they're overpaid to do it based on what's going on. So I think we all know where this is going. He's not going to be there next year, and he may leave sooner rather than later. And I don't believe any of the statements that say we're all committed to each other. No, they're not. This is easily, by far, one of the biggest abject disasters I've ever seen at any level with a legendary person attached to it.
There are a couple things that I think all signs point to this just being over. The one was the blurb about the coaches, that there are coaches on the staff talking to teams that are going to be in the college football playoffs, already taking assignments from those teams. Anytime you're that far along, it tells you either Belichick's leaving and they know it, or they know things are such a disaster, it's the rats leaving the ship, essentially, yes. Right? So that's problem number one. Number two is the documentary thing. I think it's fascinating. They were supposed to have a Hard Knocks with HBO, and then they got nixed in the summer. And then they decided, oh no.
Because they wanted it to be a puff piece and they wanted to control it. And they're like, no.
Well, no.
And then honestly, the way things were going, you can't air this because if it is anything positive at all, it's just not the truth.
No, HBO pulled out because they said Jordan Hudson had too much control. We don't want her to be behind creative here. And you know what happened after that? Hulu stepped up to the plate and they couched it as, oh, we want it to be more in-depth in the season than the stuff in the offseason. And then it came out on Monday that they canceled the Hulu documentary because things are going so terribly. So that also tells you as well, you can't even go forth with your media rights here, no matter how good or bad things are going. This all points to Jordan Hudson too, which, shocker, has been a disaster, and why all the NFL teams wanted nothing to do with him, with her around as well.
Yeah,
you're right. I think in the modern era, this goes down with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville in terms of biggest football disasters of a coach getting control of things that they shouldn't have.
I also didn't see it coming. I like it. Yeah, I think the relationship with the girlfriend is a little strange, but like, I'm not going to get into the age difference stuff. I just think like
it's control. I'm not even getting about that.
Her kind of front-facing involvement with most of the stuff is just weird. Okay, it's just weird. And then whatever her involvement is with the program, that's weird. That's weird. But I thought for sure who he is and what they're doing there, they would be at bare minimum competitive. And that's the part of this that I totally don't understand. Like, this guy didn't stop knowing how to coach. And I can't believe that the talent level is so far off of the other schools that they just can't compete, because it wasn't that long ago. Like, I know Mac Brown's record was, 500 or whatever the last couple of years, which is why they made this change and all that stuff. But like, they were in bowls. It's not like this isn't like some school that was, 2-12 for the last 30 years. Like, that's not what this is. And they're not in a heavyweight conference anymore either, which was the other, like, if he went to the SEC, I would be like, good luck with that, sir. Like, that you're going to go and take on those established programs with NFL player after NFL player after NFL player. That's not what he's walked into. There is nothing I think more disastrous than this. And then I felt all along, I'm like, oh, he'll go, go there for a year or two and he'll be back in the NFL. And I don't know anymore. Like after this, I have a hard time buying that an NFL team is going to be like, we really need him. Guy in his 70s who's letting a 24-year-old run a lot of things, is pulling the full nepotism, which is fine when it works, but it's terrible when it doesn't. He doesn't want to work with people. He keeps it so insular. He doesn't even want to include ownership in discussions. I actually now think he's not going to get back into an NFL team as a head coach. I think that's how bad this is, how bad it looks. If I forget how it looks, what it is, it's so obvious that it's just it's such a train wreck that I can't envision an NFL team going, bring him in here now.
The fact that it was even thrown out there that he's possibly looking for a media, place to land, that tells you everything you need to know there too. That
he'll get that. Oh, right, he'll get that. Yeah.
But the fact is that's even being thrown out there. He even knows the score right now when it comes to jumping in with another team, which is like an admission from him, honestly, if that is the case. So yeah, I knew it was going to be prickly with him with UNC and coaching players. I don't know if I thought it was going to be this much of a disaster. I thought it might have taken a little bit of a slow burn, but you can tell it's wearing thin. She's wearing thin on everybody too. And I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was going to be this much of a disaster, but it is what we're at.
All right, real quick before I go to break. Jerry Jones gets fined for flipping the quote unquote wrong finger. He says it was a mistake that he put out the middle finger to a bunch of fans at his last game. He said he thought he was giving them a thumbs up, but he put up the wrong finger, which in the annals of dumb excuses is top 5 of anything I've ever heard in my life. I swear to you, I didn't give you the finger. I was giving you a thumbs up. Whoops, I gave you the finger, but I meant to give you a thumbs up. Is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard come out of anybody's mouth ever.
It's the funniest. It's the funniest. I'm going to try an excuse here and see if it works, and it's not going to work.
No.
And at the same time, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're going, dude, you don't know what finger you're putting up. You really are going off the deep end over here. So that's the other side of that.
If that's actually true, then you are more senile than people are thinking you are. If you don't know the difference between your middle finger and your thumb, you probably shouldn't be running the draft board next year.
That's right. Exactly.
All right, let me take a quick break. Bram watches show ESPN 630 Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. Let's spend a couple minutes on the Capitals opener. They lost to Boston at home last night, 3-1. They had ample opportunities, especially early in the second period, where they had a 5-on-3 and a power play. They got some decent chances on them. I will credit the Boston goaltender, who I thought was really good in an opener. Very fundamentally sound. He was very tough to beat. And I think he had one of those nights. So I'll give them a little bit of credit where the Caps were wildly outshooting Boston, but it was a scoreless game until they were down. They got the equalizer in the third period, then quickly gave up the lead again, and it was empty net goal late. So whatever. But that's the opener. It's behind us. What'd you think last night?
I think when you get 5 power plays with the talent that you have, you should absolutely win a game. So
100%.
I say not a great start. I do know things sometimes move a little bit slowly here. A couple gripes I have just with like the vibes of last night's game. I saw a lot of people go, "Oh, Alex Ovechkin isn't double shifting on the power play anymore," whatever. He's been hurt. Like, he's only gotten one preseason game before heading in here. So I just want to say I'm not overreacting to anything Ovechkin is doing at this point. Like, I think they are easing him in a little bit. I'm not going to overreact to that at all.
Yeah, he's old, guys. And he actually, during the summer, underrated. It was unclear whether he was going to be ready to start the season. Like, that was kind of out there a little bit. So,
right. Reminder, he's a man. He's 40 now. So let's all calm down. when it comes to OV.
Sure.
I'm not going to panic on that at all. The one thing that I'll point out to, Spencer Carberry said something interesting in postgame, and I know postgame pressers for hockey coaches in this town don't go over, but he said something along, because he was asked about, you started shuffling the lines in the third period, right? Like they start putting Chychrun and Carlson together because they know they need a goal from somewhere, right? He said something interesting that I thought was odd for the first game of the year. He goes, yeah, I could kind of tell in the first 5 minutes I was probably going to have to start doing that a little bit with just the energy that we had. He's like, I can kind of tell when our club has it or doesn't have it. I'm paraphrasing here, but he was basically just saying, I know from the jump whether I need to start thinking about that later on in the game. And I was like, that's a little bit of a red flag. Game 1 at home against Boston. So once again, no panic over here after game 1, but I thought that was a little concerning coming from, last year's coach of the year, saying that about his club. So not a good start. Back to back in New York this weekend. So hopefully they bounce back against one or both of those teams.
Islanders, Rangers, first time back. He's back since he broke the record up in New York. So I'm sure they'll do something there probably to kind of commemorate it, or I don't know.
Acknowledge it.
I don't know. It happened there. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do something. But yes, back to back there. New York games. I guess I won't be able to see either one of them. So let me know how it goes.
Right.
I don't have a game Sunday. It'd be nice to watch them both, but whatever.
I got to correct you. They did play at New York before the season ended last year. Remember, that was the game where Farivari actually got hurt. So they did go up there one time.
They played the Islanders after they broke the record up in New York.
They did.
My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I know the Islanders no one cares about, but they did play up there one time. So
I'm going to give you the Jerry finger. It's a thumbs up.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up for that one. All right. So unless Zach and Ted can figure something out for me, let me know how the weekend goes, because I'd love to watch, guys. But, apparently I won't be able to. So just let me know.
There you go.
All right, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bram Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.